Strengthens civic dialogue and fosters intercultural awareness among the many diverse communities we serve. Kind of sounds familiar. Of course, one of WTTW's main focuses is the education of our children. How many of you have used Channel 11 as a babysitter? Anybody? Well, if you have, don't feel guilty. This is one television service that is probably the last safe haven out there. Our programs are designed to prepare kids for school, teach social skills, and foster understanding of other traditions and cultures. Your kids, your grandkids, your nieces and nephews will not be bombarded with commercial interruptions, violent language, or profanity. In a recent op-ed in the Denver Post, my colleague at Colorado Public Broadcasting, Wick Rowland, reflected on the history of public media and cable television. Many of you may not know this, but back in the 1980s, when cable television was deregulated, it was done under the promise that, among other things, it would provide PBS-like content on its specialty channels. These new channels, which represented genres once exclusive to public television, like the arts, science, history, and public affairs, were to be paid for by subscribers to premium channels and pay-per-view events. Most importantly, there were promises that these channels would remain commercial-free. In fact, some people speculated that these channels may eventually replace public television altogether. Well, how many of you have checked out these cable channels lately? Anybody? Okay. Well, in my view, they're anything but commercial-free, and they definitely air programs that that have departed from their original concept. For example, have you checked out A&E, previously known as the Arts and Entertainment Channel? Did you see Carmen or Swan Lake or the New York Philharmonic? I didn't. I saw Billy the Exterminator, Intervention, and Dog the Bounty Hunter. So I switched over to the History Channel. You guessed it, Swamp People and Pawn Stars. Now, I'm not knocking these programs. A lot of people love them. I watch them. I just admitted to it. But what do they have to do with the arts and history, after all? So I asked myself, if these channels began in earnest to stay true to their original content visions, and they did, what happened? And how did they veer so far off their original course? One word: profits. Did you think that I was about to say commercials? You might be surprised that I don't view that is what really distinguishes us. And I also don't want you to think that when I mention profits that there's anything bad about profits. Profits are a good thing and have created America's prosperity. Alleged non-commercial status. I think we let the horse out of that barn long ago, and I think it's silly for us to continue to say that we are completely non-commercial, because we're not. But what we are mission-driven around quality, authentic public service. We are non-profit institutions. So we also don't interrupt our content with sponsor messages. But yes, you will see that Lexus spot on WTTW. The only difference is there won't be a call to action. We won't have price. It'll be more of an image underwriting acknowledgement. Cable and commercial stations are by definition, and again, a good thing. They're profit-making enterprises. They employ a lot of people. They entertain a lot of people. But by definition, they are first and foremost looking for ratings and robust revenues. And they do that very well. This also drives programming that appeals to the key media buying demographic, those persons who are 25 to 49. And of course, then the advertisers that are looking to reach those people. Today, you can't get through Hoarders without seeing numerous commercials for the ShamWow, the Snuggly, or the Slap Chop. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, well, that's probably good. Public television, on the other hand, is not primarily driven by ratings and is limited by the FCC from interrupting programming with standard advertising. We are a nonprofit organization, as I'm emphasizing here today. Our mission isn't profits and return to shareholders, but public service. Our mission isn't aggregating the largest possible audience. Instead, With the catastrophe taking place in our schools, we are tasked with helping teach our kids to read. And with the near collapse of local enterprise journalism and trusted, our mission is to help fill the void with in-depth news analysis, documentaries, and trusted reporting that doesn't take a particular point of view. A functioning democracy depends on this. Our mission is also to provide vital connections and free access to the cultural and intellectual life of our communities. In doing this, public television goes far beyond the screen. Increasingly, we strive for community engagement, taking aim at our community's most pressing problems and challenges, and creating a forum for dialogue and understanding and awareness. We forge partnerships with other organizations that have on-the-ground programs that are making a difference and deserve a voice. We also use our megaphone. I think that in the bio, in the introduction, I heard the number 2 million viewers every month to Channel 11 alone. We reach, actually on a monthly basis, cumulatively 5.2 million people in 4 states. So that's quite a megaphone, and we use it increasingly to address some of our region's most pressing issues. Readiness for school, childhood obesity, and the high school dropout crisis, among others. Funded by a Ready to Learn grant from the U.S. Department of Education, we're helping to develop educational, curricular-based television programs, online games, and easy-to-use digital learning intervention resources for kids, parents, caregivers, and teachers. One of WTTW's recent programs, called Mission to Planet 429, is designed solely for the internet, for the web. It is a fun and engaging 3D browser-based virtual world, and it's targeted for kids 6 to 8 years old. It encourages an interest in informational or academic reading and helps them improve computer literacy and acquire basic 21st century skills. Mission to Planet 429 now lives on pbskids.org, and you can go find it there. And it has also been distributed to 2,000 schools and libraries across America. When we conducted a controlled summative research study over a 2-week period on the effectiveness of MP29, we learned that the Title I children that we tested in 2nd and 3rd grade summer programs who played the game for a total of only 10 hours each gained more than their peers playing games on Discovery Kids. Significant gains were also seen in learning content-specific vocabulary and machine concepts. Our leaders, community events reach thousands of children, 2 to 8 each year. We travel all over the region distributing free books and engaging children in learning. Our WTTW Great Food Van, appearing at a shopping center or library or community center near you, teaches children about the importance of healthy eating while getting them up and moving in a program that's fun for the whole family. And most recently, WTTW was awarded a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting to launch an initiative titled American Graduate, Let's Make It Happen. Through a partnership with Free Spirit Media and CPS, we're creating PSAs and videos for television, online, and for sharing virally among their peers. They are producing videos and PSAs that about the dropout crisis and why it is not an option to drop out of high school. It's aimed at middle school kids who are just about to matriculate to high school. We're engaging the community through panel discussions, town halls, online resource guides, and also providing links to myriad other organizations and resources also working to address this crisis. In an editorial piece in last Sunday's Tribune, you may have seen it, Newton Minow, who is an active trustee and former chair of WTTW, was asked to reflect on his famous Vast Wasteland speech that he delivered 50 years ago to the National Association of Broadcasters Convention in Washington back in, I believe, 1961. He was the youngest chairman of the FCC at that time. And in the op-ed piece last Sunday, reflecting on the progress that's been made, and there has been progress. There is a lot of quality content out there. You might have thought that Newt would say that the vast wasteland still exists. It's just vaster. But you know, he is proud of a lot of the progress that has been made since that speech, particularly in the area of vastly expanding media choice. I believe in 1961, the average American community had 2.5 television stations. It was kind of an interesting statistical aberration. I don't know how you can have a half television station, but I grew up in a community where we had a plethora of TV stations. We had 4, and 3 of them were very fuzzy little UHF stations. But in Newt's article, in acknowledging the progress we've made and the vast improvement in access to content and to information and entertainment, the one thing that we've still failed to address, he said, is the deluge of political attack ads that dominate our electoral process. And of course, we all suspect that there's a bit of a corrupting influence that comes with all of the constant fundraising necessary to pay for them. Thankfully, public television is a little, one spot on the dial that is barred from accepting political attack advertising. And also at WTTW, as part of our mission to help voters form their own opinions and choices, we offer free, unedited airtime for candidates to speak directly to voters. We also invite candidates to participate in live forums. We produce documentaries on the candidates and provide in-depth, fair coverage of the electoral process. And no other station in America devotes more resources to covering local civic issues in our city's rich arts and cultural scene via our 4 distinct channels. You may not know this, but we are now streaming 4 television services at the same time. They include WTTW 11, that's the one that you're most familiar with, it's in high definition. But we also have 3 other digital channels, WTTW Prime, this is our prime time service 24/7. WTTW Create, our how-to channel, and Veme, our 24/7 Spanish speaking channel. And we're especially proud of our nightly news magazine, Chicago Tonight with Phil Ponce and Carol Marine. We're also delighted with how incredibly popular and how Chicago has embraced Jeffrey Bear's Chicago Tours series. By the way, Jeffrey's working on a new Chicago Loop special right now. And it's due to air in November, so it's coming this fall. Also, the new weekly series Jay's Chicago, the ever-popular restaurant review series Check Please with Alpana Singh, now in its 10th season. And we also present stories that relate to our vastly diverse ethnic origins and traditions, such as Dusable to Obama, Chicago's Black Metropolis, Jewish Chicago, Chicago's Puerto Rican story, the Italians in Chicago, the German Americans, and many others. And again, our Latino community enjoys its own Spanish language channel, Veme. We also bring you such quality programs as American Masters, great performances, Dance in America, Antiques Roadshow, Masterpiece, Nova, Nature, and much more. And yes, thanks to federal funding, which leverages exponentially more support from our generous viewers and, as we like to say, viewers like you, we've been able to stay true to our mission for 56 years now, while staying current in the new digital world we live in. It hasn't always been easy, especially in these tough economic times, but it's a responsibility we take very seriously. All of what I just mentioned, of course, doesn't come cheap. But as opposed to the debate in Congress over public broadcasting, which we've all heard recently, and which in my view, in my humble opinion, is really an ideological and not an issue and not about balancing the budget, I think it's fair to say that public media is really not a luxury that our country can't afford. Public media is actually a rock-solid bargain. It costs just about, well, a little more than $1 per capita in America per year. For WTTW, that translates to about 6% of our annual budget. So we have to raise or earn or otherwise find 94 cents out of every dollar in our operating budget. But when you think about it, that federal portion costs about maybe 1 daily newspaper, and that's on an annual basis, $1. And it's far less than that latte that I know many of you pick up in the morning at Starbucks. In fact, in a 2010 Roper survey, 77% of respondents rated public broadcasting second only to the military as the best value for their tax dollar. Congress actually was rated just about dead last, down there with used car salesmen. When asked what percentage of the federal budget is devoted to public broadcasting, it's a perceptual question. An incredible 18% of respondents estimated approximately 10% of the federal budget goes to support public media. It's unbelievable. God bless them. If true, this would take the federal investment to more than $200 billion annually. Can you imagine what we could do with those kinds of resources? But in reality, public broadcasting takes about, something like about 0.001% of the federal expenditures. And what do we get for this investment? Well, we get Americans' largest classroom, its greatest stage, exposure to intelligent discourse about religion and rural life, cooking and carpentry, policy and public affairs, gardening and global warming. It also provides us with exposure to music, dance, theater, the visual arts, coverage of everything else under the sun with more depth, more sophistication, more diversity, more objectivity, and a whole lot more airtime than any other station could ever give it. So as a result, we get a better informed, more cultured, and more civil society. You get your window to the world. And I give you my solemn promise that you will never, ever see the Budweiser lizard on our air, but you will certainly see coverage of the Blagojevich trial again and again. So thank you for the honor of being able to speak with you today. And I understand that the floor will be open for questions.
Yes, yes.
Meet all of your constituents and to enhance the understanding of what we're trying to do. And as I said in my remarks, when I looked into a little deeper into what the foundation's program is, it's so much in sync with our own organizational objectives. And so I'm delighted to be in the same community as the Niagara Foundation. Well, I was very pleased to, as I said, to be able to explain that what public media is doing and where we think we're headed and why we are relevant increasingly, that what we do is more important than ever. And I think that a lot of people still think of public television as a single analog stream of programming, on the dial at channel 11. And we do so much more that it was a great opportunity this afternoon to be able to raise the awareness of all of that and our planning for the future. So I was delighted to have the opportunity.